Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brent. I'm the host for Canadians with Disabilities and Their Allies. And this afternoon, I have Kim Howat joining us today. And she's going to be talking about Bill C-22, which is the Canada Disability Benefit Program that, it's going to be quite some time before it's actually put into motion here. Where people were going to hopefully, knock on wood, get some finances in their pocket. But I'm going to dive right into this right away and get Kim to talk more on this very pressing topic. And also, perhaps we'll maybe talk about DERB, which is the Disability Emergency Relief Benefit that has been trending on Twitter. Everyone, here is Kim Howat. Welcome to the show, Kim.
Hi, Brent. How are you
I'm
today?
actually really good. How are you doing?
A little chilly on this side of Canada.
Yeah, well, it's kind
Uh,
of right now. We're kind of coast to coast right now. And how do you perceive or your view on C-22? Like, what is your take on everything that's going on with the committee meetings that after you've been following along with that? I'll get your take on that.
yeah, there's another one in what, an hour and a half, less than an hour
Yeah,
and a half away.
yeah, yeah.
Like you were talking about the extra money. If it wasn't for my neighbors, I wouldn't be eating right now. They are feeding me. Not something that's available when you live in a city, like I know you do and others do.
Hmm.
I'm blessed with that. I have to say that if the Bill C-22 was in effect right now, I wouldn't need any of this help. I would actually have a cottage or a home of some sort. I would be able, that would give me enough money to either pay rent and be able to feed myself easily. I even got stuck in Moncton for a month because I couldn't afford to bring the trailer the rest of the way from Halifax.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so I had to stay, and the guy was really working with me. He has like a unserviced campground, we'll say. He let me stay there. I paid him, but if it wasn't for him, again, the Maritime hospitality, giving a helping hand to somebody, I wouldn't have been able to do it. If CERB or DERB was still in effect or was in effect now,
Hmm.
then I would have no issues. I could easily have a roof over my head. I could easily put food in my mouth. I could pay my bills. I could provide heat. With a roof over my head, I have electricity. I wouldn't be living day to day wondering what's going to happen each day.
Yeah, without having to make sacrifices that food versus rent in many cases, or paying bills versus buying food. I mean, going without heat just so you can have, food. I mean, and people shouldn't have to make such tough choices, or even buying, having medications. I mean, let alone anything else. So definitely the Canada Disability Benefit would change people's lives in so many positive ways. I mean, and having an emergency fund, and that's kind of where I'm going to kind of steer things over to like a emergency fund, where that will kind of get up to definitely up to a great standard. I mean, maybe not right up to what the need is, but it's going to boost people up to where they can cover all your necessities in life that you need. What is your view on that? Like the disability emergency response benefit that many are calling for. I mean, how would like I guess first of all is the question is what is your view on it, and how would that impact and benefit you if that was to be put in place like pronto, like immediately?
Okay, so me and my community, let's
Yeah.
say, I'm refusing to go to a food bank. I actually made a couple calls in front of my neighbor, which is why part of the reason, I'm going to say part of the reason, that they're chipping in and helping. The other is just out of the goodness of the heart. They're great people. But I actually, to go to a food bank, I would need to open up my bank account to somebody. I don't see why. If I wouldn't be going to a food bank if I didn't need the help.
Hmm.
And I'm also refusing to go because of the demand on the food banks right now,
Hmm.
there are children going without food. And to me, that's more important than me having 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
With that benefit, here in New Brunswick, there is no such thing as disability support. It is only straight across the board social assistance or social development, we call it here. So we don't get a boost like ODSP, and you're in BC.
Yeah.
BC has a good one too. What's your guys' called?
Ours is actually called it's social development also. Yeah, and Alberta is AISH, and theirs is actually I guess the highest in Canada. Besides the Yukon territories and Yellowknife and all those. But yeah, I mean the Maritime provinces, yes, they definitely need to have a designation out there because there's so many people that are disabled that are just on just regular assistance, which is not right because the needs become greater when you're disabled, or if a person develops more of a disability than they already have, right? And as population ages, Kim, more people will get more disabilities and more ailments, right? And they need to be taken care of through medical care and also devices, that they need, and not having the proper supports. It's just not right, and that needs to change, right? We definitely need to change that. It's archaic.
Yeah, yeah. But just to be clear, okay, so that's 835 in New Brunswick. So when you said in the Maritime provinces, just to be clear, so the Maritime provinces include PEI, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. Okay, those are 3 separate provinces, but we're called the Maritime provinces.
Right.
When you include Newfoundland in, it's called the Atlantic provinces. We have basically 4 provinces, and they each have their own system. PEI and Newfoundland, I cannot speak on because I do not know them. And they're one of the few that I don't know across the country. But for Nova Scotia, I can tell you that their disability plan when I had applied, this was 2015, 2016, something like that, was told that there was at least a 6-year wait. A 6-year wait to get onto the disability benefits, which gave an extra maybe $150.
Oh my gosh, that's unacceptable.
I mean, I didn't realize that that your disability could wait. That was my question. Like, how does my disability,
Yeah.
how do I put it on hold?
It never gets put on hold. It's like advocacy. It never gets put on hold. It's always full steam ahead. And disabilities, they don't get put on hold. They become greater as time goes on.
They do.
Wow.
And mine did. So I was born with a disability,
Mhm.
but my disability didn't affect me to be able to go to school, to get that good job, etc., to raise my children, those sorts of things. It wasn't until after I had 40, 42, and around there that it really started to become I developed another disability on top of my initial disability. And these are just physical disabilities, not including mental health disabilities that I've struggled with for forever. The physical disability that I'm talking about that really took me off of work is neuropathy. I have small
Mhm.
fiber neuropathy, and it is continuing to spread, and they don't know what's causing it. It is like a diabetic neuropathy,
Mhm.
but they don't know what. There's so many possible causes that they're not even going to try and put their finger on it. So that affects me in a lot of ways, and combines with my primary immunodeficiency that I was born with. I was able to go to school, go to university, get a degree. I worked for a major corporation, and then I actually switched into the public sector and was working on the healthcare system in Nova Scotia. So I've had good jobs, good paying jobs, full benefits, all of that kind of stuff. And then to come to this, I was like, oh my God, like what's going on? Like, I never understood, and I don't think anybody who doesn't deal with this on a daily basis truly understands where it's coming from, like where our fight is coming from. They say, oh, you're not working, so what kind of money do you need? Well, we still need basics: electricity, heat, food, roof over our heads, and so I paid in for, as you can tell, major corporation, public sector. All of these have good benefits, but I couldn't get diagnosed because of the healthcare system until after I couldn't work anymore. So I lost my benefits, but I paid into the CPPD, and I was able to get my CPPD eventually. It took me 3 years of fighting and getting a lawyer, etc., to get it, but I did get it. Now I don't get any social supports whatsoever. And here in New Brunswick, I do not qualify for any social supports. My CPPD is the only thing that I get.
A system that's completely designed to be broken, and there's no need for that. Yeah, it's like all the questions that they put people through just to get the meager amount that they need, and even then they don't even give you the amount that's needed. I mean, especially based on inflation, Kim, it's outrageous. A 40-year high of inflation. Yeah, and so having a Canada Disability Benefit definitely would help people in so many ways, like having something concrete, but it needs to be put in place, right? In my view, I want to get your view on that, but it needs to be put in place where it cannot be changed by legislation on whatever administration gets in the power, where they can start saying, okay, well, this is not working, we need to get rid of it. It's like getting rid of a disability. You can't get rid of a disability, so we shouldn't be able to get rid of a Canada Disability Benefit either. And when Carla was asked during HUMA on many occasions there, when, and it, if I could see a tomato getting pretty red, I mean, she was going pretty red in the face of that number, but rightfully so, though, Kim, right? I mean, she needs to answer the question of like how long, and it was at 2024 minimum.
Have you actually gone in and taken a look at what's in the CBD or CDB? Sorry, I do that backwards every time. Okay, so there's actually nothing in. If you look at any other act that I've ever looked at, and just under the definition section, you can see a list of definitions. So I have the Old Age Security Act right up in front of me, and looking here, we have consumer price index is even defined, common law partner, check, benefit. I'm just scrolling through.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Definitions under the CDB. So the only definition is definition of minister. In this act, minister means the Minister of Employment and Social Development. That's it.
Yep.
That's the only definition. There is nothing at all in this act. Nothing. They threw this together on a whim. There was no doubt. I've never seen such a poorly written act. And when we talk about advocacy, I've seen act. I've sat down. I've read it. I've highlighted. I've gone through them. There's nothing in this act. Absolutely zero.
It's just, I don't know. I agree with you, Kim. I mean, they just threw it together, just winged it, right? And they shouldn't have done that. They should not have done that. They can fix it.
It's like, yeah, well, it's not even a matter of they should not have done it. They've had how long to do it?
Exactly. They've, oh my gosh, they've had beyond enough time to get it together. Oh, but we've had meetings where we're working on things, are we?
If they had actually taken the time and written this out properly in the first place, then when they were called out about it a year and a half after the election, that they should have been, this should have been like, oh yeah, here it is, we've already got it, and it should be 300 pages or however long it would be. But there's nothing. They had no intention of bringing this forward. It was there for the election. Oh, well, here we have this act. Here, we're going to support the disabled. That's all it was.